Gay couples are not fit to raise children.
They were gaying out the kids.
That's just obviously true.
Queering out the women.
Does anyone seriously disagree with that?
This guy should be exiled from MAGA. This is disgusting. The woke right is a very real thing, and we're about to discuss it and get into the psychology of it all. But first, let's talk about this photo because it's been going viral and it's a great way to start this video. This photo of Scott Pressler, who's against the wall, and Josh Cedar, yes, the one who was pretending to be trans for a while. Covered him on this channel. He's hilarious. The photo is going viral on X because some MAGA influencer posted it. The responses he got were probably not the ones he was hoping for. My friend Zeke said, "How about we exile you?" Phil Labonte said, "Trump has never been anti-gay. The MAGA movement is not anti-gay, and the reason Trump won was not because of groypers, it was because MAGA is a big tent." Agreed. This guy said, "The guy you want to exile is 80% of the reason Trump is in office." Again, Scott Pressler, the one against the wall in the photo, has single-handedly been traveling across the country for the past 6 years or so, registering people to vote Republican. In awesome fashion, a number of other bigger X accounts came to back up Scott as well. Scott has since answered this ridiculous shit by saying this.
"You all had my back today. It really means the world to have earned your trust and earned your respect through my actions, through my work ethic. I'm not stopping."
And of course, this got me all thinking quite a bit about the MAGA movement in general, right? I voted Republican. I'm not conservative, but I'm definitely more right-leaning at the moment, and I am pro-Trump. I like the majority of what Trump is doing. The question is there a space for LGBT people in the MAGA movement, and what does that look like? I actually think it looks like this. Hilarious. That was in response to the person posting the photo of Scott saying that he doesn't belong here. MAGA gays aren't going anywhere, and to be honest, the people who aren't happy about that are in the very small minority, at least in my experience of things. But I also want to talk about the woke right, which is, in my opinion, very similar, if not almost exactly the same as the woke left. But just in case you guys don't already know Trump's stance on gay marriage, here is something Vivek said about it when they were campaigning.
"Our message to gay Americans tonight is this: you're free to marry who you want, if you want, without the government standing in your way. But that doesn't mean that boys get to compete with girls in girls sports, or you do genital mutilation and chemical castration on our children."
I also posted a video last week talking about in full detail why gay marriage in this country is not at risk under the Trump administration. But that's policy. Today we're going to talk more about culture, the culture of MAGA and the new far right, and where we stand in all of this. There are a number of far right influencers, people who I consider to be far right, just clutching their pearls at the dumbest shit. And it's just girl, it ain't that serious. Because of how big MAGA has gotten, it's a huge family. You're always gonna have a bit of infighting, right? But guess what? The good thing is that unlike the far left, we all have different views. We all have different opinions. We all have different voices. And that's a good thing. And you won't always like who's in your family or who's in your inner circle, but you can learn a lot from them. Which is why I'm so glad to finally be partnering with My Heritage. I've wanted to work with them for quite some time now, because I so firmly believe in knowing who you are, knowing your roots, fighting for your morals, and learning about where you came from. I know my family is from Italy, and part of my family is from Germany, and most of us wound up in America, but we also often lose touch with the majority of family members because of time and space. So I started My Family Tree. You can see here that I added my family's names, some photos. They also have this amazing feature called Instant Discoveries. And basically it links you to family members that you never even knew existed, which is wild. And you don't even have to do much. It does it all for you. All I had to do was enter my grandparents' birthdays and maiden names. And I actually was able to find their marriage licenses. And while filming this, I actually remember a really funny story my grandma used to tell me whenever she used to get upset with my grandfather, that she almost married a mobster, but then she fell in love with my grandfather and got married. And once you find these other matches, you can go and click on their documents. You can see old photos, see when and where and if they came over to the States. You can also do DNA testing, colorize old photos, and use AI to bring them back to life, which is weird, wild and weird to me. My Heritage helps millions of people to discover their roots, their ancestry, to discover more about who they are and where they belong. If you sign up right now using my link, linked in the description below, or scan the QR code shown on screen, you can get a free 14-day trial to the premium My Heritage Complete plan. I think you and I both know how important family is these days, especially when we know that the far left and the government is doing all that they can to take away the family unit. Go and check them out and support companies that support your morals, these messages, and and this channel. And speaking about taking away the family unit, people forget how big family people gay people are. Like, so much so that we create our own families when families kick us out for being gay. Let's talk about the woke right and the psychology of it all. The three pillars of the woke left or the far left are the exact same as the far right. First of all, let's be clear with what I mean when I say the word woke. To me, it means that you believe in a power structure that is taking away rights or delegitimizing people who hold the same political views as you or have the same gender as you or the same race. My friend James explains this all perfectly in a video on trigonometry a few weeks back.
Is woke Marxism, as in that it's a species of Marxist thought, yada, yada, yada. So we can very easily place that on the Marxist left. They behave exactly like the woke. There's the targeted influence campaigns. There's the manufacturing of what the postmodernists called legitimation by parology or whatever. They create the illusion that there's massive support for this and massive distaste for that, using social media manipulations like we just talked about.
One way I've seen this happen on the far right is with Dave Rubin and his husband having 2 kids. Dave Rubin went on Jordan Peterson's show to talk about the importance of family, and it got a ton of blowback from the woke right.
David, my husband, who you know, he's a little younger than me. He grew up in a time where he just thought he was going to get married. It wasn't a thing. I'm a child of the 80s. Now I've got David, he wants kids, and I've got you on stage telling 10,000 people every night why they should have kids.
Dave Rubin recounts his decision to purchase 2 children with his husband and name one after Jordan Peterson, which he says made Peterson cry. Conservatism in 2024. Girl, please. It's not that serious. Gay people are more than capable of living lives and having children and loving those children. Elijah Schaffer, my favorite far-right influencer, who I was on his show a while back and he wasn't like this. I don't know what the hell happened to this dude. He said, "I'm gay, have full-blown AIDS, and have 2 kids. I bought them from the same market most conservative homosexuals buy their children from." Stop it! Elijah, calm down, okay? Like, your inner closeted homosexual self is showing. The 3 pillars of the woke left and the woke right. Number 1, fear.
We're destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids, queering out the women, they were queering out the dudes.
Gaying the kids might be the frogs are turning gay. Are gays ruining conservatism? The fear-mongering from a side that is supposedly pro-freedom and pro-constitution and pro-America is bizarre to me. Tons of articles have recently been posted like this. Is this winning? 5 issues conservatives conceded to win the culture war. From feminism to homosexuality to transgenderism. Blah, 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 blah. Over the past few years, MAGA has become the Big Tent party. Former Democrat voters like RFK, Elon Musk, Tulsi, Joe Rogan joined forces to help Donald Trump defeat Kamala Harris. However, it's difficult to be consistent with these views when we allow radical feminists, practicing homosexuals, so like people that are actually having homosexual sex, I guess, and pro-choice advocates to be the face of the movement. Even more so when we have drag queens, probably talking about people like Lady MAGA, feminists and transvestites running around declaring that they are the true heirs to the MAGA movement, when we have MAGA porn stars offering free services to LA firefighters. I don't know, okay. Yeah, these articles can be a little bit crazy, I'm not gonna lie. And we've also seen people like Ben Shapiro, who I actually look up to and I agree with most of what he says, say shit like this.
I'm perfectly fine with banning people who suffer from gender dysphoria from purchasing weapons. That seems to me a pretty significant symptom of an underlying mental malaise.
I mean, controlling people and their right to defend themselves was supposed to be a thing that only the far left did or believed in. Number 2, control. The woke right launches cancel campaigns and goes directly after individuals the same way the far left does. They both judge you based on what music you like, who you listen to, who you follow. An example on the woke left would be Waka Flocka, right? He's a black rapper who supports Trump, outwardly so, and has been canceled and tortured by the left, calling him a coon. You know the usual. And the same can be said for the far right, the far woke right hating Taylor Swift for voting for Kamala. Or both sides boycotting the Super Bowl because they didn't like how they handled the Colin Kaepernick situation a few years back. And now we're seeing more and more people, because of all this backlash, not wanting LGBT people in the MAGA movement any longer. Or honestly, they never probably wanted us here. When again, I thought you guys were the people, the party that stood for diversity and freedom. So the question still is, do LGBT people belong in MAGA, and where is our place in it? 10 years ago, you would never even fathom the idea of LGBT people being on the more conservative or right-leaning side of things. And MAGA, interestingly enough, has changed all that. Because listen, the truth is, Trump really isn't even conservative. He's a moderate libertarian. Like, he's from New York City. He grew up among all the gays. I mean, it's New York people. The major issue, for the most part, with LGBT people and conservatism in general was gay marriage, and that since has been rectified. Listen to what Maya had to say on a recent X Space called "Do Gays Belong in the MAGA Movement?"
This is a fundamentally odd type of political system. Like usually when you have this many people who have belief systems that are underpinned by some pretty fundamentally different values, not like diametrically opposed, but like we do have to acknowledge that like the conservatism that's underpinned by like religion is different than the conservatism that's underpinned by secularism. These are different movements. The fact that all of this is a party, that this exists in the framework of a party and not in the framework of like a parliamentary democracy, where these different like parties would have to form a coalition with one another, is something unique.
Really interesting point. MAGA isn't a political party. It is an America First movement for all Americans. And because it is such a big tent, we see a bunch of infighting at this moment between classic liberals, which is, I think, the majority of people in the MAGA movement, and actual old school Christian evangelical conservatives. Hi, Idaho legislators from last week's video.
If you are MAGA and you happen to be lesbian, gay, bisexual, shoot, even transsexual, you hear a lot of hate from the left, especially the woke left, and you're gonna hear some hate from the right too, especially the woke right. They're going to tell you that you can't be MAGA if you're gay. They're gonna tell you can't be conservative. What matters is, do you care about making America better? Do you believe in gun rights? Do you believe in freedom? Do you want to protect America? Do you want lower taxes? Do you want less war?
Number 3, culture and rewriting history.
Lots of lying, lots of character attacks, lots of saying no enemies to the right, but they don't actually even attack the left that's their enemy, so to speak, at all. They only attack other conservatives. Lots of power plays, lots of manipulative, speech. And we need to band together in solidarity, no enemies to the right, in order to be able to create a powerful enough oppressed coalition to flip over the power structure by putting ourselves at the center and claiming power for ourselves.
Hannah Arendt, a famous German-American philosopher, was famously quoted saying this: "If everybody always lies to you, the consequence is not that you believe the lies, but rather that nobody believes anything any longer." This is why people on the far left continuously seek to rip down statues, rewrite history, change words, change definition, the meaning of words. Because the truth is, when you control language, you control thought. And if you no longer know what's true or false, how do you know what's right or wrong? How do you know which direction to move in if you don't know which direction you came from? These are the easiest types of people to control. And we see this kind of behavior famously from the far left every day. And we're starting to see it from the far right. Listen to what my friend Konstantin had to say about this.
The woke logic operates like this. There are good and bad identity groups. You can't trust anything you've been taught about history or anything you're being told today, because your beliefs are based on lies spread by people who are in control of society. There is another select group of people, us, who understand what's really going on, and we're bravely raising awareness of the issue. Anyone who disagrees with us or criticizes us is doing so because they're a bad person. And the criticism and disagreement just proves that we are right and they're bad.
But those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Do gay and trans people belong in the MAGA movement? Why or why not? And please make sure you go and check out today's sponsor, MyHeritage. I've been wanting to work with them for years, and I'm so happy that they finally decided to partner with me because they realize how important family is. Click the link in my description below to get 14 days free to the premium MyHeritage Complete plan. Other than that, I will see you guys back here on Sunday with a brand new video. Until then, I love you. Love yourselves. Keep calling out the bullshit. Know who you are. Bye, bitch.